Discover how a billionaire overheard a waitress speak Italian. It changed their lives forever. Mia stood behind the counter, the familiar smell of burnt coffee and greasy bacon filling the air of the bustling diner. Another shift, another round of hopeful smiles and orders. Still, the ache in her chest lingered. Could she really make her dreams come true amidst the chaos? Working at this diner was never the grand life she envisioned, yet each worn booth and chipped plate was a reminder of her promise to her grandmother. The warmth of her grandmother's love kept her optimistic, but the weight of responsibility hung heavy. With every cup of coffee poured, the dreams of studying linguistics slipped further away, their vibrancy dulled by her pressing obligation to support the woman who raised her. As a new wave of customers flooded in, she felt her heart race. Today was tough. Voices erupted around her, mixing and clashing in a cacophony she barely registered. Then, amidst the throng, a man walked in. A billionaire, she had heard. His expensive taste indicated his status in society, and as she approached his table, all too aware of her apron stained with ketchup, she could feel her doubt creeping in. This was a world so far removed from her own, and here she was, a mere waitress. "Can I get you something to drink?" Her voice shook slightly as she smiled, striving for cheerfulness. He looked lost in thought, an unsettling expression on his chiseled face. An awkward pause hung in the air, making her feel even more like an imposter. "The coffee is really strong here," she added, trying to extract him from whatever fog enveloped him. He finally met her gaze, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a flicker of something. Longing, perhaps. It urged her to share a bit of herself. "You know, my grandmother would always say that the best stories are told over a cup of coffee." Then, without thinking, she launched into a heartfelt story, her Italian bubbling forth as she recounted her grandmother's tales of love and resilience. "Wait, you speak Italian?" he interrupted, eyes widening in genuine interest. Mia froze, her mind racing. Was this an opportunity? The internal conflict thundered within her. Did she dare display this hidden part of herself? What if he deemed it unworthy, just another inconsequential detail in his otherwise luxurious life? The joy of speaking her grandmother's language mixed with fear like oil and water. Before she could gather her composure, the bustling diner faded away. As she stood there, Mia felt the full weight of her dilemma. Chasing her dreams could mean leaving her grandmother behind. It felt like treachery against the very woman who had sacrificed everything. But right now, conversing with this enigmatic stranger stirred a hope she dared not confess. Could life beyond the diner exist? Should she even hope for more, knowing it might cost her so dearly? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension rattled in her mind like a loose piece of silverware. Could she break free from this cycle of self-doubt? Alex's presence only added to her uncertainty. Something raw and authentic sparked between them, yet his wealth loomed over her like a judgment. What if she failed? What if he found her dreams frivolous? Mia felt her pulse quicken, caught in a storm of possibility and dread. She couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger loomed on the horizon, tethered to the edges of lingering secrets. If only she knew just how intertwined their lives truly were. As she served Alex another slice of her world through her stories, panic gripped her. This connection could unravel everything. Would the diner still feel like home, or would it cage her desires, leaving her gasping for air? The future loomed ahead, both alluring and terrifying, leaving Mia teetering on the edge of change, uncertain of the leap before her. Mia could feel the imbalance of power shifting in that moment, as if Alex's curiosity created a threshold she was both drawn to and terrified of crossing. She had always known what was expected of her: to work hard, support her grandmother, and keep her dreams tucked away like an old coat seldom worn. Yet here was an invitation to unravel that neatly wound thread. "Yeah, I speak Italian. It's my grandmother's language," she admitted, her voice steadier than she felt. The hesitation that had previously paralyzed her began to dissolve, replaced by a flicker of excitement. Talking about her grandmother transformed her mundane existence into something vibrant, illuminating in ways she never anticipated. Alex leaned forward, a sparkle igniting in his eyes. "Tell me more about her stories. I'd love to hear them." It surprised her how easily the words flowed after that. She talked about how every Sunday her grandmother would bring out the family recipe book, the cover faded and worn, and they would cook together, filling the house with familiar scents and laughter. As she painted the scenes of her childhood, she realized she was not merely recounting memories, but also inserting herself into a narrative that could belong to anyone who dared to read it. "I never knew how much I missed speaking Italian until now," she disclosed, an unguarded sincerity flooding her voice. For a brief moment, the noise of the diner receded, leaving only the warmth of their connection. The weight of her daily grind slipped away, replaced by the electric pulse of possibility. But just as quickly, doubt surfaced again. What was happening here? Could she let herself dream, however fleetingly, of a different life? The diner felt less constrictive now, but the walls still encased her responsibilities. Each shift she worked was vital, woven into the fabric of her and her grandmother's survival. She was parrying the tug of her dreams and the steadfast reality of her obligations. As she finished the story, she glanced at him. His intense gaze held not just interest, but a hint of understanding that rattled her. "That's beautiful," he said softly. "Your grandmother sounds remarkable. You're remarkable." Remarkable? A word so weighted yet infused with hope. Did she dare believe it? His praise struck her deeply. There she stood in her grease-stained apron, cradling the aspirations she feared to unearth. Yet somehow, there it was. A connection, a tether, an acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, she could aspire for more. But as thoughts swirled in a frenzied dance of contemplation, a voice shattered the moment. Her manager calling her name sharply from across the diner. A canister of salt spilled near the kitchen, and she felt the intensity of her responsibilities barge back in with a resound. Mia exchanged a quick glance with Alex, a new resolve spiraling in, the fleeting moment of connection grounding her. Work would soon reclaim her focus, but now, a small, defiant voice whispered inside her that it was time to act within her world, not just run on the wheel. That bridge she felt with Alex was tentative but real. What might come of it? Would she allow it to lead her somewhere beyond these diner walls? The urgency twisted in her gut, igniting an anxiety she could hardly suppress. She could feel the fleeting vision of a future, one that included trials and triumphs, pulling her forward. With a deep breath, she squared her shoulders, determined to embrace this flicker of empowerment as she prepared to navigate yet another frantic shift. Did Alex see her? Or was she merely a fleeting moment, lost among the clatter and conversations? But his gaze lingered, and that same bolt of connection ignited wild questions in her mind. The dawning realization that she might have been more than just a waitress skittered through her heart. Perhaps the time had come to confront her lingering doubts, not just with Alex or her dreams, but with herself. And as she stepped into the bustle once more, that thought echoed back. A soft, yet persistent rallying call. What was she truly capable of? And how far would she be willing to go to discover it? As her fingers drummed nervously against the counter, her heart raced towards a decision that could change everything. Tomorrow would tell, but she knew she was ready to unfold the next chapter of her story. But as she wiped down the tables, a startling realization crept in. What if that connection was only the beginning? Would she dare to take the next step into the unknown world Alex lived in? The diner buzzed with the usual clatter as Mia maneuvered through the familiar chaos, but something within her had shifted. Each order felt lighter, the rhythm of her hands faster. The morning rush churned around her like a well-practiced dance, yet the stage felt different today. The echoes of her conversation with Alex lingered, stirring something dormant within. As she took an order from a grumbling customer, her thoughts began to meander back to the stories of her childhood. The phrases of Italian, once mere whispers in her mind, now danced on her tongue, mingling with the aroma drifting from the kitchen. She had never considered the language a skill. It was simply part of her heritage. But now, could it be a bridge to something greater? Her manager's voice broke through her reverie, barking at her to keep up with the pace. This wasn't just about checking off tables. It was about the life she was crafting with every shift. With each cup of coffee she served, she pictured not just the routine, but what lay ahead. Possibilities that flickered like fluorescent lights overhead. Mia's heart raced as she wiped down the counter, contemplating the words she now clung to. "You're remarkable." The duality of her existence pressed into her chest. A waitress, yes, but also someone who spoke a language layered with history, stories, and dreams. With determination sparking inside her, the idea of pursuing something beyond her current confines grew from a tender flame into a resolute fire. What if she could use her language skills to connect with others? Could she apply for jobs where her Italian could flourish, perhaps in translation or tourism? What if she finally put her grandmother's stories into writing, crafted them in such a way that others might feel the warmth of those Sunday meals? As sunlight streamed through the diner's windows, illuminating the dust motes that floated lazily in the air, she made a decision. The next time she saw Alex, she would seize the moment. She wouldn't allow doubt to weave its way into her thoughts again. She would share her aspirations, and perhaps he might help her explore this newfound direction. But what if he dismissed her? The fear of vulnerability lunged at her like a reckless wave, threatening to pull her under. "You're capable," she whispered to herself amid the chaos, her voice nearly drowned out by the sounds of sizzling bacon and laughter. Every word served as an anchor, reminding her that the weight of her responsibilities didn't have to smother her ambition. The shifts continued, customers came and went, but Mia's focus sharpened. She engaged with patrons about their travels, asking them about their experiences in Italy, and sharing bits of her own family tales in Italian when the opportunity arose. Each exchange electrified her. Feelings of pride surged forth as she navigated straddling her past and the emerging future. Yet beneath that confidence simmered a fear of commitment. The whisper of her grandmother's voice faded into the background. She had to confront the ever-looming question. Could she really pursue her dreams without abandoning her obligations? Was aspiration a luxury she could afford? As her shift ended, she caught sight of Alex leaving. Steeling herself, she called out, her heart racing with every step closer she took. All of her emotions coalesced into a singular wish, to untangle the web of her life and weave in threads of possibility. "Alex!" she almost shouted, her impulse flaring. Just as he turned, the diner's door swung wide open, and a booming voice echoed off the walls. A tall man in an expensive suit entered, watching everything unfold. Mia's heart sank momentarily as she puzzled over this unexpected intrusion, unsure of what it meant. But then, perhaps this was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to embrace the unknown fully. Would this new figure redirect her journey or propel her forward? She felt a shift within herself, ready to confront yet another challenge, her courage battling the weight of uncertainty. As Alex looked back at her, a blend of curiosity and intrigue glinted in his eyes. The air crackled with anticipation, and she could not help but ponder. What was about to unfold? The man in the suit surveyed the diner with keen eyes before they landed on Mia. She felt the weight of his gaze. It was penetrating. For a heartbeat, her resolve wavered, uncertainty creeping in like a shadow. Was he here to critique? To evaluate? To expose her secrets? "Excuse me," he said, his voice commanding yet smooth, cutting through the din of clangs, chatter, and clinking dishes. He wasn't just a patron. He was an unknown variable in an equation she thought she had just started to solve. "Can I help you?" Mia asked, her earlier confidence faltering, replaced by a hint of trepidation. She forced a smirk that felt more like a flimsy facade. "I overheard you speaking Italian just now," he replied, an amused smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "You have a way with the language. It piqued my interest." Her cheeks flushed. She hadn't anticipated someone remarking on her linguistic ability, especially from a stranger who seemed to emanate an air of authority. It was gratifying, yet it also stoked an unbidden anxiety. What if he was here to dismiss her talent, to frame it as nothing more than a quaint novelty? "Thank you," she managed, her heart fluttering. Momentarily forgetting about Alex standing just a few feet away, she focused on this new figure. "It's something I grew up with. My family speaks it at home." "Interesting," he mused, stepping closer, the acrid scent of cologne swirling around her. "You know, I'm in the business of connecting people and ideas across cultures. I could always use someone like you on my team." The boldness of his statement struck Mia like a bolt, seemingly merging her earlier contemplation with the present moment. This was the connection she yearned for, an opportunity neither anticipated nor planned. "Your team?" she echoed, incredulous. "What would I'm just a waitress." The man chuckled, shaking his head. "I see potential in you, Mia. Being a waitress is a skill. It requires multitasking, communication, the ability to understand and meet varied needs. It's an art form. But speaking Italian? That might just open doors for both of us." His offer dangled before her like a perfect fruit, tantalizing yet untested. She wrestled with her immediate instinct to retreat from the risk. A part of her was screaming to remain in her comfort zone, embracing the routine she knew. But another part, the one fueled by her dreams and aspirations, whispered that this could be the bridge she had been searching for. "Are you serious?" she asked, her voice slightly higher than she intended, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She felt a thrill. But could she truly step into this world? "Absolutely. If you're interested, let's talk. I'd love to hear your thoughts," he said, giving her a chance to ponder the offer. Mia glanced at Alex, who stood nearby, his expression inscrutable but tinged with curiosity. She could sense his support from a distance, but also anxiety. For her, for the bold choices unfolding before her. This wasn't simply about a job offer anymore. It was about who she was becoming. "Sure," she agreed, trying to sound casual, but the apprehension laced her words. "When do you want to talk?" "Let's say tomorrow. I run a tight schedule, but I can make time." He replaced his business card with a wink and a smile, then turned to leave. The moment seemed to stretch, each second amplifying the weight of her impending decision. Mia felt a surge of excitement lunge forth, only to be tempered by the looming shadows of self-doubt. This interaction could shape the trajectory of her future, by either embracing the opportunity or allowing it to slip. "Alex," she turned back, her heart pounding. He raised a finger, silencing her. "You don't have to explain right now. Just think about what you really want, Mia. Decide for yourself." The words echoed in her mind as she regarded the diner. The familiar comfort that often dulled her aspirations now felt suffocating. She knew then that the stakes had changed. She was on the precipice of a new chapter. Could she really step into this broader world of opportunity? Would she risk everything for a chance to weave her dreams into reality? As the adrenaline faded, a realization set in. The true challenge wouldn't be seizing this opportunity. It would be letting go of the fears that chained her. In her heart, she understood the path ahead might not be easily navigable. As she made her way out later that evening, her thoughts raced. The next day loomed large, a pivotal moment on the horizon. Would she muster the courage to embrace this crossroads, or would she retreat back into her comforting shaped life? The answer awaited her, breathing life into a decision only she could make. Mia stood in front of the mirror in her small apartment. The light filtered through faded curtains, casting soft shadows across her face. She breathed in deeply, trying to steady herself, but the excitement of the man's offer from the diner mingled with a growing sense of dread. Tomorrow was not simply another day. It was a choice point. Her fingers grazed the edges of her reflection, tracing the familiar lines that mapped out years of hesitation and complacency. The soft hum of the city outside faded into the background as she focused inward. Those 8 hours spent serving customers had always provided her with a sense of security, a safety net woven from routine. But the question gnawed at her like a persistent itch. Did she want to remain forever in that space? As she picked at her wardrobe, deciding which outfit might communicate professionalism while still feeling like herself, memories of her family filled her mind. They had always emphasized the importance of taking risks, sharing stories about how their own lives had changed through bold choices. Torn between their empowering wisdom and her own fear of failure, Mia felt the pull of contradiction. If she aspired for something greater, why hadn't she pursued it before? Was her heart still beating for dreams unfulfilled? With her phone in hand, she replayed the man's unexpected words. "I see potential in you." How much did she really believe that? The next morning, she woke before dawn, anxiety bundled tightly in her chest. The breakfast rush at the diner loomed, yet it felt immaterial compared to what awaited beyond its doors. She rehearsed her conversation with the man in the suit, formulating potential responses that might project confidence. But deep down, doubts ricocheted louder than affirmations, shaping her thoughts into a thick fog of uncertainty. As she prepared to leave, she caught her reflection once more. So different from the little girl who dreamt of grand adventures outside their cramped living room. She wouldn't let another opportunity slip through her fingers. It was time to challenge herself, to carve out a path amid her self-imposed limitations. Arriving at the diner, she felt the brisk weight of responsibility return. The morning crowd ebbed and flowed, demand clawing at her consciousness. Yet, every table she served now felt like a ticking clock towards her meeting. Each encounter frayed her nerves further. What if the man's expectations were as daunting as her own self-image? During the lull between breakfast rush and lunch, Mia snuck out to a side booth, closing her eyes and focusing on the cool surface of the table beneath her palms. She questioned herself about what success really meant. Was it measured in a title or in happiness? Alex found her there, his brows furrowed with concern. "You okay?" he asked softly, taking a seat beside her. His presence felt calming. "I'm just thinking," she confessed, guilt flashing through her for nearly skipping out on work. "You know this could be incredible for you," he added, his eyes steady, full of faith. "But even more than that, it needs to feel right to you. You don't have to do this for anyone else." In that moment, his support became her anchor. It was pivotal, a reminder that her aspirations didn't need to conflict with her self-worth. She felt a flicker of determination reignite within her. The lunch crowd surged like a wave, and Mia buried herself in her tasks, smiling genuinely for the first time all morning. The mix of orders and requests became a chaotic dance that uplifted her spirit. With each passing moment, she realized a simple truth. Her potential was not solely bound to her current situation, but stretched beyond it. Just before she punched the clock to leave for her meeting, a sudden thought struck her about how she could leverage her insights from this experience into whatever lay ahead. She was still the same Mia, cheap aprons and rubber shoes. But she was also evolving into someone who could challenge the norms she had always accepted, starting right now. The scent of the diner faded as she exited into the bustling street, energy buzzing around her. She wasn't simply a waitress, she was a conduit of possibilities. With the business card clutched tightly in her hand, she felt the weight of history pivoting towards the future. Stepping into the sleek office building where the meeting would take place, adrenaline coursed through her veins. The green light of opportunity beckoned from around the corner, but so did the uncertainty that had been her old companion. What awaited her beyond those doors? Collaboration or critique? Whatever it was, Mia braced herself, understanding that the hardest journey was about to begin. Would she find the strength to stand her ground or shatter beneath the pressure? Her next step toward the unknown was unfolding, inching her closer to a life she could finally claim as her own. As the elevator doors slid open, Mia took a deep breath, readying herself for whatever came next. The lobby buzzed with energy, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with the faint whir of technology in the background. She felt momentarily lost in the elegance of her surroundings, all sharp lines and polished surfaces that seemed to embody aspirations she hadn't known she had. For a fleeting moment, doubt crept back in, but she thrust it aside, summoning the steely determination Alex had sparked in her earlier. Rounding the corner toward the conference room, Mia's heart thumped rhythmically in her chest. Was this really for her? As she approached the large glass doors, she caught glimpses of well-dressed professionals bustling about, their faces lit with enthusiasm or deep concentration. What if she was too ordinary, too small to make a meaningful impact in such a space? What if they didn't see her, the real her, just a waitress with grand dreams but no credentials? The door swung open, and she stepped into the room. A large table dominated the space, with towering windows allowing the brilliance of the city to flood in. Mia's gaze darted around. The sheer number of people made her heart race. But as she settled into the intimidating folds of the conference table, something shifted. This was her chance to redefine herself, a moment to rewrite her narrative. Before she could second-guess herself, a voice broke through her contemplation. "Welcome. Thank you for making the time to join us, Mia." It was the man from the diner, his friendly demeanor disarming as he gestured lightly for her to take a seat. The warmth of his smile reminded her that perhaps this meeting wasn't about judgment, but opportunity. As introductions went around the room, Mia tucked her hair behind her ear, letting the words of each attendee wash over her. They spoke of market trends and innovative strategies, themes she realized she was surprisingly familiar with from her casual conversations with regulars at the diner. It was all part of the hustle and bustle that colored her day-to-day life. Finally, it was her turn to introduce herself. She carefully crafted her words, recounting her journey from serving tables to stepping into a potential new world. "I've spent years learning about people and their stories," she began, her confidence surging as she spoke. "Each interaction at the diner taught me a lesson in understanding needs and delivering value, something I hope to bring to your team." Murmurs of appreciation echoed in her wake, a small thrill building inside her. The conversation shifted rapidly, and Mia felt as if she were being pulled along in a current, each wave of dialogue propelling her forward. Ideas bounced around, filled with excitement and ambition, and she seized her moment to contribute. Ideas flowed from her like the coffee she served in the diner, consistent, genuine, and equally warm. Their discussions veered toward international markets, strategies that sparked a memory in Mia's mind, her childhood in an Italian-speaking household. "Actually," she chimed in, "my family spoke Italian at home. I can help with any outreach efforts you might have." Silence hung momentarily before the table erupted in intrigued murmurs. It was as if she had tossed a pebble into calm waters, sending ripples of curiosity spiraling outward. Did she truly hear that? The weight of her heritage, a skill she had seldom valued before, suddenly illuminated a path forward. The realization dawned on her. What she had viewed as an impediment had morphed into a unique asset. Her time spent juggling orders and navigating diverse conversations prepared her for this moment in a way she could never have planned. As the meeting wrapped up, the energy buzzed anew. The potential for collaboration crackled in the air, and Mia could almost taste it. But amid the excitement was a persistent voice, probing her about the next steps. The thrill of being in that room had overshadowed her self-doubt, but how would she maintain this momentum beyond today? With a quick glance around, where eyes sparked with interest in her input, Mia recognized her journey was only beginning. Would she have the courage to fully embrace this transformation, or retreat back into the shadows of being just a waitress again when the pressure mounted? Her phone buzzed just as she left the room, a reminder of her ordinary life waiting back at the diner. As she read the text, an unexpected twist unfolded, one that could potentially alter her course entirely. What did the message entail, and how might it challenge everything she had sensed about her new standing? With uncertainty swirling in tandem with exhilaration, Mia readied herself for the next chapter of her journey, uncertain yet undeterred. Mia stepped into the sun-drenched lobby, the hum of city life enveloping her like a warm blanket. Yet now, instead of feeling overwhelmed, she reveled in the cacophony. The moment she emerged from the conference room had left her invigorated, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of sharing her thoughts. The text on her screen vibrated insistently. It was a message from Alex. "Mia, I need to talk to you. Important news about a potential role that might interest you." What could this mean? Her mind raced with possibilities, each more exciting than the last. For a fleeting second, the lingering doubts threatened to creep in, but she pushed them aside. She had just made her mark in a room full of giants. An opportunity from Alex felt like an extension of that success. As she stepped outside, she was transformed. The streets buzzed with energy, but instead of bustling through them like before, Mia felt she could navigate this world. She was not just a waitress, she was a potential asset, a burgeoning professional ready to forge her own path. The morning sun bathed everything in golden light, highlighting the shimmering skyline, and Mia experienced a clarity she had not known before. The city was alive with options. The possibility of growth, connections, and genuine transformation was almost palpable. Finding a quiet cafe on the corner, she ordered a double espresso, just enough to keep her focused and energized. As she waited, her mind swept back to the conference. Each voice around the table had added layers to her understanding, and she could recall even the most nuanced points of their discussions on market trends and negotiation strategies. The thrill of contributing lingered in her thoughts, reminding her of a familiar warmth. Sliding into a corner table, she pulled out her notebook, scribbling down the insights she had gathered. Words flowed from her pen, thoughts weaving into tangible strategies and ideas. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Alex's face lit up the screen, and she picked up immediately. "Mia." His tone was urgent yet encouraging. "I just had a meeting that changed everything. You remember I mentioned an initiative requiring fresh perspectives? Well, I pitched your ideas from the conference today, and they're interested in chatting. There's a team-building project that could really use your input." Her breath caught in her throat. Career development wasn't just possible, it was tangible. "What do I have to do?" "Prepare for a meeting next week. Research the project, and think about how your background could influence our approach internationally." He paused, as though weighing his next words. "Mia, this is your chance. Believe in your unique perspective." For the first time, she sensed the weight of responsibility, encouraging yet daunting. How could she truly represent herself in this new role? The realization that she would need to step into a field far removed from her past added a complex layer of anxiety to her excitement. "I won't let you down," she promised, the determination simmering beneath her words. As the call ended, Mia reflected on the evolution of her self-doubt into confidence. Facing a skilled team would be a test of her resolve, not just as a professional, but as someone who had come from an ordinary background. The echoes of her past were not chains, but bridges to her future. Suddenly, the whisper of self-doubt came rushing back. What if she stumbled in the meeting? What if her ideas fell flat? Clutching her notebook tightly, she reminded herself of the woman who spoke passionately at the conference table. She had something valuable to offer. As the cafe buzzed around her, Mia's heart raced with a mix of fear and anticipation for the pivotal meeting to come. How far could she push her boundaries, And how would she tackle the skepticism that might arise from her new team? The shadow of her past loomed, but a new flame flickered within her, compelling her toward the next challenge. With the notebook in her lap, Mia gazed out at the bustling streets filled with potential. Just then, her phone buzzed again, the screen displaying another unexpected message. What could that be? She wondered, curiosity and apprehension entwined. Mia hesitated for a moment, her heartbeat quickening as she felt the weight of the new message on her phone. The name that flashed on the screen sent a jolt through her. It was from a number she didn't recognize, but the message certainly caught her attention. I overheard something interesting at the cafe today. Can we talk? She blinked at the screen, uncertainty gnawing at her confidence. Was this a joke? Had she said something memorable during her conference discussions that had landed her in a stranger's sights? Her mind raced, jumping to wild conclusions about what this could mean. Ultimately, it could signify another door opening, or simply a fleeting curiosity that would lead nowhere. Finishing her espresso, Mia tapped a response. Sure, I'm available. Determined to make the most of these unexpected moments, she decided to be proactive while waiting for a reply. Pulling her notebook back onto the table, she mapped out the components of the upcoming team project in a detailed outline. The pen hovered over the paper as she contemplated what made her unique. How could her experiences contribute authentically? After all, her background as a waitress had instilled in her a keen sense of observation and adaptability. She had spent years reading people, listening closely to their conversations, and navigating the unpredictability of customer interactions. What if that's my edge? She murmured aloud, surprising herself. Anyone could offer theoretical input, but few could provide real-world insights. She began crafting a strategy that emphasized her ability to weave narratives from various cultural perspectives, utilizing her intuitive understanding of diverse clientele. Her notebook filled with fervent scribbles, ideas branching out into mind maps. It was invigorating. The cafe was becoming a haven of creativity, a sanctuary where she could channel her energy into achievable tasks rather than succumbing to doubt. Just then, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a request for a call from the mystery number. Mia? A smooth voice traveled through the line, instantly calming yet authoritative. This is Greg, from the firm you were at earlier today. I had the pleasure of overhearing your input during that lively debate on international market strategies. It was refreshing. Her pulse quickened. Hi. Nice to meet you, Greg. Listen, I know this will sound odd, but your ideas really struck a chord with me. I'm looking for fresh thinkers, and you have an instinct for identifying trends that could be leveraged in our upcoming venture. Would you be interested in discussing this in more detail? Mia's mind raced. This was another unexpected turning point, a direct invitation to explore another professional landscape. Yes, absolutely. I'd love to talk more. They arranged to meet at a nearby restaurant the following day. Tension etched its way into her thoughts as she hung up. She was launched into an entirely new setting with opportunities to confront her fears. Would her voice carry in a room filled with experienced professionals? In the quiet that followed, Mia felt an array of unfamiliar emotions clash within her. Anxiety, excitement, doubt, and the flickering warmth of possibility. She needed to prepare rigorously. The meeting could be the key to shifting her trajectory entirely. She envisioned how Danielle and the others might react once they sensed she was not just a waitress anymore, but a contender in this complex arena. As she left the cafe, her footsteps echoed on the pavement, imprinting her desire for change with each stride. If she succeeded in this conversation with Greg, the chance to integrate her waitress experiences into her professional narrative could redefine her place in this market. But then again, what if the meeting didn't go as planned? What if her past continued to haunt her amidst the elite? Determined to usher in her strengths rather than be bogged down by her past, Mia clenched her notebook tightly against her chest. She had pushed past the initial wall of self-doubt once already. Could she do it again? As she glanced back at the cafe, She knew tomorrow held the potential for more than just survival in her new role. It could be the beginning of her transformation from underdog to contender. The question lingered in her mind. Would she seize this opportunity, or was she destined to remain an observer? With her gaze fixed on the horizon, she felt a fresh determination surge within her. Tomorrow would not only be a test of her abilities, but a chance to carve her niche in this bustling cityscape, a place where she could finally redefine her identity. And as she took a deep breath and merged into the thrumming energy of the streets, a single thought pulsed in her mind. The moment of truth was approaching. How would she respond when the spotlight turned her way? The sun's early rays seeped through the slits in Mia's blinds, casting a crisscross of light over her anxious face. She sat at her modest kitchen table, the air thick with the scent of burnt toast from a distracted attempt at breakfast. Even the mundane chores felt insurmountable in the face of her upcoming meeting. "Just be yourself," she whispered, trying to calm the chaos in her mind. She felt the flutter of nerves in her stomach as she replayed her thoughts from the previous day, envisioning every possible scenario. What could Greg want from her? Was she really what he was looking for? Scanning her notes from the cafe, she reaffirmed her determination. Her observations on market strategies, her practical insights from years of waitressing, suddenly seemed relevant and powerful. She had a unique perspective, a voice that could resonate with the practicalities of the real world. Glancing at the clock, she realized she had limited time to prepare. Today was crucial. Mind racing, she pulled out her visual aids, charts and statistics from her research, snippets of market trends, all collected diligently over the last few weeks. She was not going to allow herself to be anything but prepared. Mia felt her pulse quicken when she arrived at the restaurant, the polished glass doors welcoming her into a realm of sophistication that felt almost foreign. She had spent years serving patrons in casual settings, but now she was stepping into the shoes of someone who belonged. Smoothing down her blouse, she took a deep breath and walked in. The soft buzz of conversation surrounded her, but her focus zeroed in on the figure seated at a corner table. Greg was immersed in his laptop, a mountain of papers around him, likely preparing for their meeting. "Hi, Greg," she offered, her voice steadier than she anticipated. He looked up, surprise lighting his features, quickly shifting to a warm smile that eased her tension. "Mia, I'm glad you could make it. I hope you're ready to dive into some serious ideas today," he said, gesturing for her to sit. "Of course," she replied, her heart pounding as she settled into the plush chair. A quick glance around the room showed her how out of place she initially felt, but she mentally shook off the doubt. Just engaging in this conversation was an achievement in itself. As Greg initiated their discussion, Mia felt energized. With each point she articulated, her confidence grew. She delved into her strategies, weaving her experiences into a coherent argument that highlighted her understanding of the market. Greg nodded, and his eyes sparkled with interest as she spoke. "Your insights are invaluable, Mia," he said, leaning forward. "I see potential in you that I hadn't anticipated. Have you ever considered taking your expertise further, perhaps into a consultancy role?" The question hung heavily in the air, and Mia felt an unexpected mixture of excitement and fear. It wasn't simply an opportunity. It was an invitation to redefine her professional landscape. "I'd love to explore that," she answered, her brain buzzing with what that might mean. Each word built on the confidence she was cultivating. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was a burgeoning professional capable of navigating complex ideas and strategies. Just as they were getting into the crux of the discussion, a woman entered the restaurant. Her presence was commanding, and Mia couldn't help but feel her own energy dampen slightly. This woman carried herself like she owned the room, and when she approached their table, Mia felt as if she were being scrutinized under a critical lens. "Greg, I didn't expect to find you in such company," the woman said, her gaze flicking over to Mia. Mia stiffened, her thoughts spiraling. Was she being judged? Did she belong here, conversing with someone of Greg's standing? Sensing the tension shift, Greg introduced Mia. "This is Mia, a brilliant mind in market strategy. We were just having an insightful conversation." "Interesting," the woman replied, a raised eyebrow indicating disbelief or challenge. Mia's composure wavered as she faced this unexpected adversary. Would this be a defining moment? Could she stand her ground against an adversarial force and show her worth? Gathering herself, she felt a fierce desire to prove not only to Greg, but to herself that she belonged at this table. And as the conversations continued with rising stakes, that question hung in the air. Would she rise to the occasion or retreat into the shadows? The answer would define not only this meeting, but the path she would take from here. Mia stood outside the towering glass building, the sunlight glinting off the windows that seemed to reflect the dizzying heights of ambition she had thought only attainable in dreams. After a whirlwind day that pushed her beyond the confines of her waitress uniform, she had experienced a tectonic shift within herself. This was it, the moment to break free from a past that had threatened to define her. Sitting across from Greg in the bustling restaurant had reignited her voice, affirming her once-hidden competence. With each passing minute in that meeting, she had transformed from a timid waitress to a vibrant participant contributing valuable insights and strategies. Each nod Greg offered was more than mere acknowledgement. They served as an affirmation of her worth, a validation of years spent honing her skills in a bustling diner, gathering thoughts and ideas from conversations that unfolded daily. Yet when the woman interrupted, Mia found her resolve wavering. Would she allow doubt to reclaim its hold? The moment felt pivotal as she faced the prospect of being dismissed based on appearances. No, she had fought too hard. "Actually," she said, interrupting the uneasy undercurrent of judgment, "what I bring to the table is not simply about credentials. It's rooted in real-world experience that translates into genuine insight." Those words reverberated in the air, breaking through the tension, as she spoke truth she had glossed over for too long. The skepticism that flickered in the woman's eyes began to crack, replaced by a hint of intrigue. "Interesting perspective," the woman finally replied, albeit begrudgingly. "What do you see as the main opportunity in international markets?" Mia felt the exhilaration of the room shift back into her hands. She shifted seamlessly back into the conversation, articulating details she had gathered from her nights spent studying market trends and reflecting on her family's immigrant background. The discussion flourished around her, knitting together the tapestry of perspectives and ideas she never knew she possessed. "I think we overlook the human element," she said. "We should harness personal stories to engage those on the other side of the globe, creating a bridge that challenges the conventional business model." It felt exhilarating to watch as both Greg and the woman leaned forward, interested, engaged. In those moments, Mia felt a wave of accomplishment swell inside her. This wasn't merely a meeting. It was a proving ground where she validated her right to contribute meaningfully. No longer defined solely by her past, she was evolving before their eyes. As the meeting wrapped, Greg turned to her, a genuine smile breaking across his face. "That was brilliant, Mia. I knew you had it in you." "Thank you," she replied, beaming from the recognition as they walked out. The soft thrum of the city enveloped them, but it was the buzz of possibility pulsating through her veins that fueled her. That evening at home, she sat at the same kitchen table where uncertainty had lingered for too long. She revised her notes from the meeting, her thoughts no longer mere scribbles, but blueprints for a future she envisioned. She felt lighter yet stronger, the weight of self-doubt lifting with each bold stroke of her pen. The next morning, as she attended to her waitress duties at the diner, each shift began to feel different. Instead of just serving coffee, Mia pictured herself connecting people through shared narratives, opportunities she began to chase rather than hide behind. As she stood there in her apron, she allowed herself to connect. Talking to customers about their travels sparked ideas for stories to weave into her proposals for Greg's initiative. She realized she was not just a waitress, but an innovator in her own right, blending the art of hospitality with strategic business acumen. Recognition cascaded in her life, not just internally, but externally as well. Customers began complimenting her on her efficient service and warm interactions. Alex noticed her growing confidence and became increasingly supportive. Days turned into weeks, and her hard work culminated in a formal invitation into Greg's firm, a consultancy role that aligned perfectly with her skills and aspirations. Standing at the threshold of this new opportunity, Mia felt accomplished. She had taken the uncertain steps toward achieving not just career growth, but personal evolution. Her identity had transformed, woven through the narratives of resilience and connection, a testament to the challenges she had maneuvered through. As she stepped into her new office, the realization struck. This was her achievement, hard-fought and well-deserved. It dawned on her that she was no longer simply surviving but thriving, a woman who claimed her rightful seat at the table, ready to conquer new horizons. The whisper of her grandmother's voice echoed in her thoughts, affirming that the very stories that nourished her heart could indeed fuel her ambition. It was a newfound confidence, solid and unshakable. She had risen, conquered fears, and embraced her capacity for growth. With every confident step she took into this new chapter, Mia flourished, a self-made narrative of courage and determination that reflected every sacrifice. This wasn't just about a role. It was about defining herself against the backdrop of countless stories waiting to be shared. With satisfaction blooming inside her, she knew the journey had only begun, and she was ready to embrace everything it had to offer. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait. Even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.